Hello and welcome to my new video, how to draw a tiger. The first step is to draw an oval, just a loose sketchy oval, a bit sort of squashed flat. And now I can add some ears either side, doesn't really matter much. And then a circle at the base to show where the mouth and nose will go. And then a sort of line just above this circle to show where the eyes will go. I can try and work out a little bit more what this sketch is going to look like, but I want it very loose at the moment so I can change my mind whenever I want to. I need a line going down the center because a tiger's face is basically symmetrical, similar on both sides of this center vertical line. Next, I can draw in the eyes, roughly where they're going to go. They need to be quite small, and make a mark where the mouth's going to go at the bottom of the circle that I drew earlier on. I think now I'm going to start to put some detail in this eye, making the lines a little bit darker and more firm. So at this stage onwards, I'm going to make more decisive decisions. So the eye on the right, for example, I'm moving it across nearer the central symmetrical line, just to make it work better. I'm redefining the edges of the tiger. The features of a tiger's face are quite different from a human's, and I think that's just good to remember because we're so used to looking at human faces. And I can use the eraser to rub out some of the earlier very sketchy lines that I started this drawing on. So going back to this eye on the left, I use my 4B pencil and work in some of the darker range of tones within that eye. So sometimes it will be the line that gets darker, and sometimes it will be a block or a shape of tone that gets darker. Try not to think too much what it is, just draw what I see. I'm working from a series of photographs of tigers because they're quite unusual shapes, unless you've drawn them an awful lot of times, I guess. Now I'm going to draw some of the marking on the tiger, the lovely markings that they have, just doing some of the more obvious ones around the eyes. So I'm widening my drawing from one place where I feel settled, going along to the nostril of the tiger now, just defining where that would be, putting in some basic shading for that area, and working along here. Next I'll work on the other eye, and I want both eyes to sort of match up eventually. So as I'm drawing this eye on the right, I'm sort of trying to look as well at the eye on the left to see that it's sort of looking out at me, because I want the tiger to be staring out. So it's best not to draw just one eye in isolation, but to see the two together. I feel I need to add some more markings onto the tiger just so that where I'm going. So using that line of symmetry, the basic vertical line that I put in earlier on, I'm going to make some of the more obvious markings of darker tonal areas, looking at how I hold the pencil so that the directions of the marks go the directions of the fur of the tiger's face. So sort of the illusion of detail quite early on. I'm also adding now some mid-tone, not as dark as the darkest this 4B pencil will go, and not as light as the paper, but something in the middle, because there are some areas of the tiger's face which want to be mid-tone. And now I'm speeding along a bit, adding dark areas wherever they go, doing little dots just below the nose and above the mouth, finding a sense in the shapes that I see as I draw them, trying to give an indication of whiskers by drawing the darkness either side of them. There seem to be lots of patterns and markings on a tiger's face which make them so interesting to look at, and basically just trying to depict them wherever I see them. And now I'm going to use a slightly darker charcoal pencil to get some of the darker, higher contrast in. And now I'll use a soft coloured pastel to add some colour on top of this drawing that I already have. So some yellows and some ochre colours. And these soft pastels are very nice because you can sort of rub them in with your fingers and they blend. They're different to oil pastels, which you sort of need to place one colour on top of another. With soft colour pastels, you can just use your fingers, so you get a more subtle, quicker blending. There seem to be quite a few colours, indications of colours on this tiger's face, but I'm going to try and use as few colours as possible. So a limited palette, as it were. So just yellows, oranges, browns, and reds, and see if I can do all of that. I'm also using a black now just to indicate some of the darker markings, because the 4B pencil, although it sort of worked to an extent, there's a higher contrast in the tiger's face, and I want to try and achieve that level of high contrast between the dark areas. It also makes the white areas of the paper seem brighter if I make the other areas darker. So just using my finger a little bit just to blend them in, doing small shapes and large shapes. That's just about it now, I think. Now that's your basic tiger's face with some colour blocked in. I think I'll add a background to this as well, and I'll just use just skipping along here, I'll just use the soft coloured pastels to give an indication of some greens with a sort of directional mark, so it sort of draws you into the tiger's face. I hope you like this drawing, and I hope you subscribe to my channel, Circle Line Art School, for many more art videos. Thank you, and see you next time.